Hello everybody. Today I'm going to be doing questions one of verifying the identities, find the exact values, and solving trig equations. For question 1 of verify the identities is secant x minus cosine x equals tangent x times sine x. So you would first simplify the secant x into 1 over cosine x, and then minus cosine x. Then we would change cosine x into a fraction, 1 over cosine x minus cosine x over 1. And then to get the same denominator, we'll multiply by cosine x on the denominator and the numerator. And then we're left with 1 over cosine x minus cosine squared x over cosine x. Now we could form the both terms, or we combine both terms into 1 minus cosine squared x equals, or over cosine x. And we know that we could change 1 minus cosine squared x into sine squared x using the Pythagorean theorem, which is sine squared x plus cosine squared x equals 1. And we're left with sine squared x over cosine x. And then simplify further to sine x over cosine x times sine x. And then we know sine x over cosine x equals tangent x. And then we still have the sine x. Now for question 1 of find the exact values. The question is sine 195 degrees. So we will use the formula sine a plus b, and then sine a cosine b plus sine, or cosine a times sine b. We could revert 195 into 2 degrees that we know on the unit circle, which can be 150 and 45 degrees. So our A would be 150 and our B would be 45. Now we can plug into the equation sine 150 degrees times cosine 45 degrees plus cosine 150 degrees, and then sine 45 degrees. Now we could draw a unit circle, a little unit circle. Our 45 is right here. Our 150 should be around here. And then it's radical 2, radical 2 over 2, radical 2 over 2. And then over here it's negative radical 3 over 2, 1 over 2. These are x term, these are y term. This is cosine x, and then this is sine x. Same thing over here, cosine x, sine x, our x term, y term. So now we could plug into our formula, or substitute into our formula. So we have sine 150, this angle right here, sine 150, 1 over 2, and then our cosine 45, which would be this one, radical 2 over 2, plus cosine 150, it will be negative radical 3 over 2 times sine 45, which would be this one, radical 2 over 2. And now we multiply. Now we get radical 2 over 4 plus radical 2 over 4, and then this becomes negative radical 6 over 4. Then we add these, and we get radical 2 minus radical 6 over 4. That is our answer. Now for question 1 of solving trig equations on the interval of 0 to 2 pi. So we had to find cosine negative 1, what cosine negative 1 would be on a unit circle. We know these are we know 0 is 1 and 0, and then our pi over 2 is 1, 0. Our pi is negative 1, 0. And 3 pi over 2 is 0, negative 1. So the equation says find cosine negative 1, which would be this one. And we have pi as our angle. And then we form the equation 2x equals pi plus 2n pi. Then we get x by itself, divide 2 by both sides we're left with x equals pi over 2 plus n pi. And that would be the equation. Now to find the x values on the interval of 0 to 2 pi, we can revert this equation back into this one, pi plus 2n pi, pi plus 2n pi over 2, and then change the equation to pi parentheses 1 plus 2n over 2. Now we could plug in for n equals 0, pi parentheses 1 plus 2 times 0 over 2, and then we're left with pi over 2, and then n equals 1, pi parentheses 1 plus 2 times 1 over 2 equals 3 pi over 2, and then n equals 2 pi parentheses 1 plus 2 times 2 over 2, and we get 5 pi over 2. And this is where we would stop because it goes past our 2 pi. Because it's greater than 4 pi over 2, and 4 pi over 2 is greater than 2 pi. Or 4 pi over 2 equals 2 pi. 5 pi over 2 is greater than 2 pi. So our x's would be pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2. And that is all.